Good morning, everyone. How we doing? Welcome in. Just got pushed. The IB's been a real stinker recently, huh? What's going on, Pip T? How you doing? It looked like your Tokyo session IB did really well. Glad to see that. All right. Let's get the alerts out for everything else. So live there. Paste. Good. Good morning, everyone. Welcome in. Okay, perfect. All right, well, we'll discuss yesterday, the epitome that is yesterday, how disgusting it was, everything else that we need to see. To start, if you guys remember from yesterday's open, I was actually, let me say good morning to all these people first. Spate, good morning. Steve, how you doing? Mike Ross, Ox, what's going on? Nathan P, Oma, how you doing? Omo, sorry. Saeed, what's going on? And then in here we got 9 to 5. How you doing? Rafshan, Samir, Samps. So yesterday was disgusting. We got stopped out, and I think it's part, especially because of last night. I got stopped on the IB from last night as well. I think it has to do in part with the contract rollover. So if we go to MNQ just to look at last night's Globex, we had our Globex open. We had a pretty good short bias, actually a very good short bias. We got a perfect retracement to 50%. I entered right at, keep in mind as well, my entry last night was 24,640. So the new contracts are 200 points off where the current ones are. Part of the reason I think we're getting a little screwy price action right now on Tradeovate, this is reading 24,640-ish. And then the TP for the low, 24,617. Stop loss was 24,647, 657. I got stopped out by 0.75 last night on the IB high, and then it hit the IB low, and then it continued to push lower. And this was the Asia Open at 8. So this was your Asia IB. This one would have worked out as well with a 50% entry. So you had a short bias, retrace up to 50% at 10:30, and then it hit the full TP at 11:45. This is just pretty nasty, slow, methodical movement because, and this is my theory on it, because of the contract rollover. So I was looking at the volume last night on our old contracts as opposed to the new ones. The new ones being M6, the old ones being J6, MNQ M6, MNQ J6. Those contracts, M6, which is the new one that we're moving forward to, had almost twice the volume that H6 did. So I think, and even when I did go over and look at M6 last night, it was moving the same. And as you can see, even on Qs, which Qs is a share price, so it shouldn't be affected by it. You'd think it wouldn't be. Qs is still moving extremely choppy. We can see that pre-market right now. It's just been really nasty price action for the past 2 days, last night included, because of the contract rollover. The rollover is supposed to take place tomorrow, and maybe Thursday morning. Tomorrow after hours is when you should roll over your contracts. Anyway, going over to review for yesterday, the IB did lose again. So that's 3 Mondays in a row. today would be 3 Tuesdays in a row if it does lose as well. So I am going to possibly look to size up a little bit today. We'll see. I just need to be a little careful with that. Don't want it to go too aggressive. For yesterday's price action, though, we had our IB low form first, the IB high, perfect entry at 50%, and then all of a sudden prints the largest candle of the day, and it broke the IB low yet again by 2 points. However, there was slippage on M&Q, which was really odd. It spiked through the IB low yesterday, and I had like 10 points of slippage. Even though this wick didn't happen on Qs, it happened on M&Q. I had like 10 points of slippage, immediately pushed back up and made like 75% of the IB. And then right into close, 3 o'clock, we had about 160 point candle to the upside. I didn't see any news off of it. I didn't see a reasoning or any reasoning behind the move. It just teleported up to previous day's high, broke previous day's high by 10 cents, 11 cents, hit 608.86, and then all the way back down within that same 15-minute candle. So you can go to the 5-minute. You can see this from yesterday. I'm still going to blame it on the contract rollover. I think that's the reason that we're getting such screwy price action right now. So just need to be very careful with the way that we go about trading the IB, or what our bias typically is in terms of, okay, we usually trade inside bars with the IB. Today we're looking at the same exact thing. We have an inside bar, which I'll go and draw out right now. So previous day's range, we have our open. The low was made as the IB low broke. We also had a double break yesterday. So I added that into edgeful the edgeful AI. It was a 21% chance that the IB failed yesterday. It was a 7% chance that the IB failed and also had a double break, and also went and hit the IB high after the IB low hit. Very rare outcome yesterday again. Those are the days that kind of screw me over. The bad data days, the days where it's a very rare outcome or very rare chance that you get all the stuff lining up together. Yeah, the news on that was NVIDIA saying that they're expecting to do, they do it all the time too, but NVIDIA saying they're expecting to do like 1 billion extra in revenue for next year. But even then, that shouldn't be enough to have a 160 point candle up at 3:05 in the afternoon, followed by an immediate 180 point retracement right back down, and then almost go and take out the IB low again. So that move yesterday, even though if it was NVIDIA's $1 trillion revenue, thank you, Saeed. Even if it's that type of news, it shouldn't have the volatility behind it to push up 160 and then right back down 180. Just part of the game, I suppose. But for today, remember we talked about this last week as well. The IB has lost 2 Tuesdays in a row now, and the Tuesdays are the best day of the week for the IB to play out the correct way. So today we're going to maybe look at adding some size into it. We'll see there. Now I am in a little bit of a dry spell with these my funded accounts, so we'll be trading those ones today. Lucid also still moving me live. I don't think I'll get those accounts until probably the end of March, so we won't be trading on Lucid for a significant period of time, which is I'm kind of okay with in hindsight, because yesterday the IB lost. I probably would have done something stupid on those Lucid accounts, and then last night the IB lost for Globex as well. And the worst part about last night's IB on Globex is that after the entry, the original entry that I should have taken, it missed the IB low by, I think, maybe 2 points. Yeah. 24.837. IB low is 24.835. 834.75, close enough. So 2.25 is what it missed the low by. And then it went and took the high by 0.75, and then it came and took a brand new low, which is very upsetting. It happens. Yesterday's bad trade. My statistics are not good on Mondays. I will avoid that strategy from now on Mondays. It's been a rough 2 weeks for the IB, I will admit. That's also, we've avoided, I think, 2 losses on it because of the other stats that we look at. We also look at those inside bar stats. We look at the opening week range, which we have our low put in yesterday for a Monday. We're pretty much smack dab in the middle of that range right now. This is pre-market, so this does not count as a new low. The low and high needs to be formed during New York session, not during pre-market. Why today? Globex failed for gold. It failed yesterday, and it also failed last night. Same thing for MNQ as well. Yeah, it's because Jensen said NVDA will make $1 trillion in revenue in 2027. I saw that it was from NVIDIA, but it still shouldn't have. I mean, we were looking for previous day's high to get taken, and it's kind of funny that it got taken by 10 cents and then came crashing all the way back down and then closed pretty much where we opened yesterday. We, in hindsight, we opened at the same exact, almost to the penny. We opened at the same exact level that we closed. We closed yesterday at 638, sorry. And we opened yesterday at 607. So 607 cents. That is how choppy the movement was yesterday. And these are always a port blowing day, regardless of your trading strategy, regardless of how you're trading. These are always days that you're going to blow your portfolio if you're trying to trade within that chop, within that nasty movement up and down. I'm guilty of it from time to time. As I just said, I've been struggling with, okay, my funded futures said there's a rollover already. There we go. So we will make sure that we're trading on M6 today. We are trading on M6. No more H6 contracts, everyone. I'm guilty of it too. I ended up losing my funded futures accounts again yesterday because I tried trading the previous day's high, ended up getting manipulated to dust on those accounts, which is why I was just saying I'm pretty happy that Lucid is moving me to live when they are. Also, keep in not that it's that big of a thing, but did you guys just see how that candle opened and 9:15 immediately dropped like 20 cents right there? 602.57, and it wicked, well, 10 cents. Sorry, I guess it's not that big of a move. That correlates over to 12-ish points, 5 points, 12 points in that range. That's on the old contracts as well. So over to M6 now. I'll bring this up on, this is what we're going to be trading on today. Bring this up over here. If you guys notice, look at where all of my previously drawn, which I'm going to have to remove all of them. Look at where all my previously drawn Fibonacci retracements are. Sorry, I couldn't think of the word I was trying to use. So all those levels, that's the slippage between the contracts. Now that we're on M6, M6 is about 300 points over where H6 was trading. So all these levels that we've been looking at, this is also another reason I chart on QQQ as opposed to MNQ. When you draw your significant levels, your support resistance, every 2 months when you go and roll over those contracts, you lose all of it. So if I had a support level at 24.2, that level might have been 24,000 on the old contracts. So another reason, yet again, another reason why I trade on M and Q, but I do all my charting on Qs, because Qs, the only thing that you get on this is maybe a dividend every once in a while. I think SPY is the one that pays out dividends. I don't think Qs does. So we'll make sure that we go into, probably start with 10 today, maybe. I gotta create a group for this again. Group. For anyone that wanted to know how to group trade, here you go. Set up your group that way. And then make sure that your group is highlighted when you go over to groups. I know that I may, oh, we're almost at 25,000 as well. That's on the new contracts too. So maybe that's a reason we've been rejecting like crazy. Is there any news that drives this high volume bullish momentum? I don't think there's anything pre-market. No, I didn't see any tweets on Walter Bloomberg. We can't go over market data. We do have. I'm kind of sad that the Market Watch isn't on here anymore. I don't know what happened to it. I used to click on Market Watch and it'd be a nice little chart for. Actually, what if I go into manage history? If I do this, Market Watch. This month, February. Let's go to market data. Wow, they changed it. This is the same website that I was using before. They got rid of all the data that they used to have on here. This is what I've used for years, and now it's gone. Oh, that's kind of sucky. Anyway, on to... It's my fault, gents. I started trading it and the market found out. It's not because so many people have been talking about it. Even if you guys go and backtest it, which I'm sure a lot of people have, it's going to have a week to 2 weeks of meh price action and it playing out. For today, I'm going to pull this up for last week again. This is 2 weeks in a row. This is the third week that we have lost on Tuesday for the IB. So for a Tuesday, and these were our stats yesterday. We had really good odds for breaking the IB in the correct direction, even on. If we go over to MNQ for Tuesday, even on the IB as well for last night. So going over to the daily IB, we had really good odds to break the correct direction, which we did not. 76% chance since the high was formed first that we were going to break the low last night. It failed by 1 point, which I'll go and redraw on this so you guys can see how annoying that was last night. I was so sad. I almost didn't play it too, which is the worst part. So there's the IB from last night. IB high, IB low. Entry right at 50%. It missed the IB low. 24,836, 24,834. So missed the IB low by 2 points and broke the IB high, which is our stop loss, by 0.75, and then teleported down to the IB low, which if it had quite literally just been like that, we would have been in the trade for the full TP, but wicked this out just barely. Is Globex still performing good? This will, including last night, which I probably shouldn't have traded because of how small the range was. Hindsight. Including last night, that is 7 for 9 over the past 2.5 weeks. This will be the third week. So it's still, I think it's still performing really well. The good news from last night as well is that was only a 20-point loss. Even though I was still trying to risk $400 with it, that was a 20-point loss from last night. So it's not bad losses. Even yesterday was a really tight range for the IB. I think I lost 398 on it, 380 on it yesterday because I was in with 2. Probably should have done 1. IB stands for initial balance. Yeah, I got to figure out. I don't really want to go and start using Financial Juice, but I can't use market data because they got rid of it. So I guess we're using whatever this is, trading economics. Today, we don't have anything. Today's Tuesday, and there's no scheduled news on here. Tuesday, March 17th, unless I'm missing something. We'll go to this. Maybe this will show us something for today. Yeah, no news. Okay. Tuesday. Pending home sales, that's it. That is it for today. So we don't have any significant news. I guess this is what we'll be using now. Very disappointed that they got rid of that. Pending home sales at 10. Yes, that's it. That's not going to be anything significant. Make sure. So I got force rolled on Tradeovate. Make sure you guys are trading M6. Your price on MNQ should be 24,997, just about 25,000. TradingView has its own news calendar. Yeah, I've used this before, but I don't like switching back and forth between it. This one's usually pretty accurate. I know it has everything. Sometimes this misses NFP though. And I also, the reason I liked Market Watch so much is because it only had the US data. I don't care about, and you can see the significance of all these data reports. I don't care about bound to trade from Japan at 7:50 at night. That's just another reason for me to scroll down. I just want to see all the stuff from the US. But I don't think there's a way for me to filter that stuff out, which is okay. I don't mind using it, but I just preferred that. Forex Factory isn't bad. This one has a folder color. I guess I'll have to learn something new. It's okay. So we do not have the inside bar high to take out on SPY. We actually have an outside day stat on SPY. So there's our previous day's low. There's a previous day's high. Drag it out to the right. That's our previous day's range right there. London range. Currently, we are opening outside of previous day's range. So that's an outside day stat. Means that we have a, let's see, 63% chance that it reverses back down if Qs opens outside the range, which it's about to. And then a 72% chance that it reverses back down on SPY. And then if we go over to the initial balance for Tuesday, these are our odds right here. Ideally, we want to see either the high form first, the low forming first even's fine too. Again, this is 2 Tuesdays in a row that this is lost. So today should somewhat even it out to the upside. If today ends up losing too, then too many people have tweeted about the IB. Have you backtested IB for Globex? I haven't backtested it. I don't know if Tyree's in here. He is. It was either Tyree. Did you backtest it? I don't remember. Someone in here did, and it ended up having, for Globex, it was like a 63% win rate over the past year, and it ended up doing 17,000 if you end up risking the same size per trade. And then the New York Globex did have some drawdown periods. I think November last year didn't really work out too well. The regular one had a 67%-ish win rate. Holy push right now. What's going on? 0.5% really in the past hour since that 8 a.m. open. The New York Globex has about a 67% win rate. In the calendar screen, Gearbox countries. Gearbox countries. Thank you. I only care about that. I don't want the entire world. I guess this is what we'll use then. The other reason I liked Market Watch too is it didn't like I don't think you can filter out primary listing maybe. No, you can't. The Market Watch one didn't have, I don't care about mortgage markers at 1 o'clock or 7 o'clock in the morning. For 1 o'clock, we have a 20-year bond auction. So bond auctions don't really do anything. Most of this data I don't care about. It's just more stuff to scroll through. It is what it is. I'm done complaining about it. So here are our stats for today on the IB. We have a 80% chance, and this is with, again, the past 2 Tuesdays. You can go down to the table here, 0310, 0303, high form first, high broke first, high form first, high broke first, above, below the midpoint. These even 0303, this one opening below the midpoint should have definitely won. The one that opened above it, maybe not. If I remember correctly, last week we barely opened above the IB high. Sorry, not above the IB high, above the midpoint of the IB. So let me go to last Tuesday. There we go. Yeah, it wasn't on SPY even. It wasn't that far of an open. It was still well below 75%, but this, not really much we can do about that. Just very difficult to trade. Also, it can only. That's the difficulty with it, McLaughlin, is that I want the low impact news as well. Like pending home sales, we have that in 2 minutes. Even though it's only an orange folder, medium importance, I still want to see what we have at 10. If I filter that out, we won't get news. All the bond auctions are one, but industrial spending, production, those are one. Manufacturing, production, manufacturing spending, those are one or low importance, but I still want to know that we have those at 10. I don't know why MarketWatch would have gotten rid of that data that they had every week unless they were not really finding any visits from it. If IB breaks high/low before 50%, excuse me. Do you play for outside/inside bar? No. So yesterday I took the longs and I had my price target at previous day's high, which ended up hitting, sadly. It just wicked me out at IB low. And then same thing for Globex last night. Globex IB high form first, IB low form second, wicked up to 50%, and then barely swept it out, and then ended up continuing down all night. Not really much that I can do about that. So I trade the IB because it has a very high percent win rate. How do you change the data to the new contracts? If you're on Tradeovate, it should have already done it. You can go over to plus, and then M and Q. You want to make sure that you're on M6. So H6 were the ones that we were trading for March. We are now on March moving to June. So you're on MNQ M6. These are for the next 2 months. And then come April, April's next month. Come May, we'll move over to whatever the next one on this list is, which is U6. And then Z6. This is the rest of the year worked out right here. So make sure that you're trading on M6. I'll leave this up for a minute again. That's how you go about changing it on Tradeovate. NinjaTrader, I'm not sure. If you might have a day or two left that you can get away with trading the yellow contracts. Last night, especially, the volume that came in with it, that was pretty rough. How you change the data to new contracts, meaning the what's in play data. Oh, edgeful doesn't, it automatically filters it out. Edgeful uses universal ones, or just a universal measure on MNQ, which is the MNQ that is present on TradingView, which automatically updates. So this one, you don't have to do anything for edgeful. Top Step does the same thing. Top Step uses universal contracts. MarketWatch economic calendar. How'd you get that? What the heck? It's back. Thank you, Patrick. How'd you find that? I need to bookmark this immediately. Add to taskbar. Where the heck is the bookmark? There we go. How do I bookmark something? Toggle. Bookmark this page. There we go. Save. Thank you, Patrick. All right. Everything's fine. We're fine. I'm happy again. All right. So we already swept down to previous day's high. So the outside bar stats fulfilled on SPY. And now we should, which we already went and took. We just took previous day's high. 603.86 was previous day's high. We just hit 603.87. Now it's 603.92. 604. So this one should continue up pretty well today. This year has passed last year's performance so far. Last year, the Globex was not profitable, even with like a 10% variance in error on my part. It's still downright bad. Maybe we don't trade it anymore then. But it's been working really well for the past, even for the past 3 weeks, John. I also traded it behind the scenes for probably a month before I started alerting it or pushing the strategy. Thank you, Jill. Yeah, you guys can see that I'm not very tech savvy. Does anyone else have any recommendations on other accounts that I should add while I'm in this little... It would really only be for the next 2 weeks. I've heard Funded Next, which we can actually go and take a look at right now. If you guys have any recommendations for other futures accounts to go look at, Funded Next. I haven't used them before, but I hear that they're pretty good for... Oh no, Tyree, I'm so sorry. I know they have buy one, get one right now. Stay USA. I haven't used them before, so I don't know what their like payout policies and but they do CFDs too. So let's see. Let's see what their Bolt ones. Perdia is huge for instant funded, really great. Funded Next, Pipstone, Blue Guardian futures. Why did I choose the Pro account for Lucid instead of Flex? The Flex account has lower payouts. So for the 25K Flex on Lucid, you can only get 750 and then 1,000. Might just be 1,000 actually. I think it was 750 for your first one. You don't get the second account until on Funded Next. You don't get 2 accounts until you get a payout with the first one. Is that what you're saying, David? Maybe I won't use them then. The whole point that I like trading on these futures firms is because you get to copy trade. Top one, I don't know if I'm banned from them or not. It's the issue. I did used to use them. Take Profit Trader, I haven't had an account with yet. Top one futures, I know that they have. You can trade up to 10. I don't know. I think it's this one, right? So I'd probably do the 25K. Oh, $500 daily loss limit though. That kind of stinks. The main reason I don't trade on them is because of this BS right here, the equity stability score. So if you have a loss on any other firm, you just have to have 40% consistency or 30% consistency. With the equity stability score, your loss also counts towards your consistency. So if I make 200, then lose 100, I believe how the score works is that my consistency would go from, or let's say I made 100, made 100, made 100, lost 100. My consistency should be 50%. With the equity stability score, it would go down to 75% or 67%. Sorry, 2/3. So that's why I don't really like them. But yeah, they are pretty expensive too. They are very expensive. I guess the benefit to them is that you can trade up to 10 accounts, right? I haven't looked through their new rules yet. I think you can have 10. Yeah, there you go. Max accounts 10. Max accounts 10. 5 accounts. Max accounts 5. Max accounts 5. Max accounts 3. 41 a month. Elite daily. I don't. Is this their new daily payout one? Reset unfunded. Consistency on challenge 45%. So 3 days to pass it. Drawdown mode end of day. Yeah, none of these really look that good. Look kind of booty. Timu one. Bolt is garbage. I like the legacy challenge from Funded Next. Funded Next Bolt accounts are a bit different than the original Bolt accounts. They do offer 25Ks as well. New contract on Tradeovate is M6, yes. M6, MNQ M6. Your price on MNQ should be reading 25.54. What I was saying yesterday, you won't really be penalized. They're still moving the same, and the volume is still consistent. This is the old contract. So this is 24.836. The new one you can see is moving a lot better. You can see the price over here on the right. It's moving about a point every half second, every tick actually. This one's jumping and freezing. So it's still moving, but it's not moving smoothly because of the lack of volume on it. This one has more volume, so it's moving as it should. So just make sure you're not on H6 anymore. M6 is the one that you want. Funded Next HQ is in the UAE. I think I will pass on that. I do not have backtesting sessions. Take Profit Trader, the only thing I don't like about them, Lonnie, is the 5 days to pass. That's the major downside that I see with them. And that's just to get to the pro account. And then once you're in the pro account, I'm also trying to step away from accounts that, I know I say this as I have the Rapids up right now. I'm trying to step away from accounts that have the trailing intraday drawdown. Why do you avoid instant fundeds? I think they're just a money grab, Sensei. The instant funded accounts, regardless of what firm you're going with, they pretty much all have 20% consistency, right? And each and every one of them also has probably 3x the cost to what you would get with any eval from any firm. I like getting the 1 day to pass accounts if possible. The 2 day to pass ones, those are fine too. I don't really like the consistency on evals, so I try to stay away from those if possible. 1 day to pass, I think those ones are the best if you get a good day, like on gold, for example, 2 weeks ago when I got those Tradeify funded accounts. Gold a couple weeks ago had this crazy directional move overnight for the entire night. Tuesday, March 3rd, you had a $20-ish drop on GLD, which probably like 200 points on gold, meaning that one micro gold contract would pass your account in a day, and you wouldn't even have to capitalize on the whole move. That's when I passed, and I had 4 micro gold on Tradeify, had essentially no drawdown with it, and it immediately passes 3,000 profit. Or actually, I made like 4,000 because I forgot to close it when I should have. That's why I like the 1 day to passes, because sometimes you can get lucky with the day that has directional movement. This is a great example right here. If you had managed to somehow get into longs at 8 a.m. this morning, not saying that you would have, but if you get some nice directional movement like this, you can pass the account in a day. If you get a day like this and it's your second day on those evals and you have 1,500 from the first day, you need to make 1,500 for the second day. This is a day that you're going to blow the accounts. You're going to blow your evals, resetting it, trying to get back that 1,500 to pass the accounts again. The instant funded ones, your instant fundeds are not your answer. So you're going to make the same. If you're saying, oh, I'm going to trade differently on the funded once I get the funded account, that's not going to be the case. You're going to trade the same way on those instant funded accounts as you would have on the actual evals or whatever you may have been trading. So you need to avoid this is my reasoning behind avoiding the instant funded. You're just going to cost yourself a crazy amount of money. I used to do the same thing. I thought I'm going to trade so much differently on the funded account or the account that I'm actually going to make money with. I'm just going to rush my way through the eval. I still do it time to time. rushing your way through the eval, you just blow and blow and blow accounts over and over and over again. Instant fundeds are no different, only you're paying 3 times as much as you would have on an eval. So an instant funded account with Tradeify, $350 for a 50K versus, I think it's $350 for a 50K. Let me go look. Oops. I don't know. It always brings me to Project X on there. I believe on Tradeify, accounts and rules, the pricing. Pricing, there we go. Let me get my eye. So I believe for Lightning 50K, it's, yeah, $328 with their discount. For a growth, it's $97. Or even a select fund, it's $111. So either one, if you pick the growth or the select, it's 1/3 the cost of getting the Lightning account. And if you go and blow this Lightning account, it's going to hurt a lot more than if you were to blow a couple evals with the 50K growth or with the 50K select. The way that I view it is you essentially have 3 attempts at passing this before it would be the same amount as the Lightning 50K. And then if you do, which I'm sure you will eventually, if you do blow the funded account, it costs you $97 to get it back, or the attempt to get it back, as opposed to being $328. I also like to trade 5 accounts at a time. So this would be spending $500 versus spending $1,500 to get those 5 accounts. And then lastly, not only are you spending more, but you're also more restricted. So you have to have 20% consistency versus having 35, which 15% may not seem like a lot. If you've been trading for a while, it is a lot of consistency buffer on 35% versus 20. So this is 3 days that it would take you to get that consistency versus you have 5 days. And because they make it so it has to be 20% on the dot, it's really 6 days that you have to wait to get the consistency below 20%. So it's just not worth it. That's why instant fundeds are not the way to go. Instant fundeds is for consistent, profitable traders. No point to an eval if you do the same thing daily. No wild guessing. I don't think so. Even consistent, profitable traders, you're going to have moments of weakness that you go on tilt or you blow the accounts. And 20% consistency, if you have one bad day and it goes and hits your daily loss limit, it will take you another 10 days to get back to that 20%. You could try, Barg. You try increasing the 2. Increasing size has been something very difficult for me. Are you worried about having to change your trading style now that you moved live? No, not really. I think it should be relatively the same. The only thing that I'm not really looking forward to, Sensei, is that the live market's going to have a lot more slippage. Part of the reason I recommend Lucid to everyone is because they have a perfect sim environment that you trade on. So if I'm trading the IB and I have my stop loss and my take profit and entry, I will get filled exactly at 25.35. There is 0 slippage on Lucid. There's no slippage on Lucid on the sim accounts. So wherever I have my limit order, if I have a limit order set at 25.38, I will get filled at 25.38. In a live market, which is what Tradeify has you trade in, My Funded Futures also has you trade in a live market, and we saw it yesterday with that stop out that we got hit with, right? We had 10 points of slippage on this wick down because it happened within maybe 2 seconds. So it went from 24.856 down to 24.833. I got filled out, even though my stop loss was at 24.846, I got filled out at 24.836. That's the only worry that I have. And that 10 points is $20 on one micro. So it made If I'm doing 2 micros, that's another $40 on top of what the stop loss may have already hit. I just find it funny on instant fundeds, like top one futures, you get capped at how much profit you can take in order to stay within consistency, but have a massive daily loss limit. Yeah. And if you hit your daily loss limit, it's going to take you weeks to get that back. 20% consistency is pretty rough. We haven't had a single red candle since 8 o'clock. It's been almost 2 hours of straight up. So we definitely have the IB low form first. The only thing I don't really like is that we don't have a draw to the upside now. So even though we are up 1%, we don't have a draw for like previous day's high. Yesterday we had that level that went and tagged with NVIDIA's news. We don't have a draw to the upside today. My 401k and Roth, yeah, would love to see this continue. Me freaking too, man. Me too. Hims hasn't really done anything since it had that initial news. We did hit 151 last night on MSTX though. MSTR, sorry. He says green today too. This daily consolidation, don't even get me started on that, Tyree. The 24 hours is an absolute joke. And it's somehow gotten even tighter. As if the 30-point range that we've been in since September has been rough. That 30-point range has now been reduced to 20 points. So we've been trading between 615 and, sorry, not 20 points, like 26 points, 27 points. 615 and 591. For, even if you just want to look at this has been 2 months worth of trading that we've been within this range now. It's awful. And hopefully you guys are also seeing, I don't think I've said this nearly enough. This is the most difficult market that and granted, I haven't really been trading that long. It's been 6.5 years, but this has been the most difficult market cycle that I've traded in those 6 years. This has been extremely difficult because you go up one day and then for someone like me too, I like to trade the same direction. I like to go long most of the time. This has been crazy difficult to try and get up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. You can't get any directional price action because you go to the 24-hour, you go up for 2 days, you go down for 3 days, you go back up for 2 days, you go back down for 3 days. And it's been the same cycle over and over and over and over again. So what we want to see today, I might even take a pretty early entry on this if we can get a pullback, retrace, and then pop back up. What is Frenchie's alert about? MNQ. He commented it underneath it. Just didn't tag it. So basically, who survives the cycle will have good times when their cycle changes back to more than normal ones. Yeah. If you guys can get through this, it's literally been at the same exact level since September of last year. If you can get through the 6 months of nasty, nasty consolidation, then anyone that trades ICT should know the same thing. It's the same concept regardless, but consolidation leads to expansion. The more you consolidate, and I'll go to the 15-minute for this. The more you consolidate like yesterday, the more your expansion is. So yesterday we had the entire trading day of consolidation after the gap up pre-market. More consolidation, and then this is our expansion right now. This is on the 15-minute time frame. Zooming out to the 24-hour, it's the same thing. You just change the time frame. So this The longer we're within this range, and I'm anticipating it's probably going to break. I don't imagine we're going to have a 200-point drop to the downside on Qs. I'm probably thinking that this is going to, and we have had consecutive higher performing than average, like 20% last year. I think the year before that was like 24% for yields. And then obviously during COVID, we were having like 100% years back to back. 2022 pulled back 30%. I think this is probably going to, whatever 8% for the year is, because we opened, where was January's open? There we go. So January's open right here, 8% on SPY, about 12% on Qs for tech. And that goes into, that's May of next year. So we want December 2026, February. There we go. So this is what we should be anticipating for the rest of the year. Something like this. Which is why I think we're, and this is from where January opened. Actually, it might be a little bit above. I think January opened right there. There we go. So that's our 12%. That's our average for QQQ. 8% for SPY, 12% for Qs. That should be the move that we anticipate after this break. That's also, if we hit the average, it's probably going to be something more on the lines like this, 20%. So we'd be up at like 733. Once you get this directional movement, and if you guys remember how nice it was trading the summer of last year, May all the way until July, you could have just woken up, gone long. That was your day for 4 months straight. Now you wake up, you have to make sure that your bias is correct. You have to make sure that your levels are correct to the upside or downside, because you're more likely than not going to get a reversion back down the following day. If you guys can survive through this cycle, you will be A-okay. I feel the seasonality wise very similar to last year. Last year we were done with this by February, though. I know I keep flipping between the charts, but we're just looking for a pullback right now anyway. Last year, February, that consolidation was done February 18th. So we're in the same window. And then we had at least continued downside. So this is the same concept. You just go short at open every day. And this should be as clean as it gets right here too. This is expansion, consolidation, expansion. And then we got a reversal. But that's how the market trades. The longer you consolidate, the more expansion you're going to get, and vice versa. The longer you expand, the more consolidation you're going to get, which I think we've well overdone the consolidation. Go to the screener here. Screener is pretty neutral right now. Not too much going on there. Go back to our IB by rejection. Probably not going to get a gap fill today as well. We gapped up. We have a 38% chance that we get a gap fill on both SPY and Qs. That's on the what's in play right there. So 38% chance that we're going to move back down. I don't think that we're going to get that. So we go over to the IB by rejection. We have the low forming first right now. So we have an 80% chance that the high is going to break today, which should be an accurate 80% as well. That's 2 weeks losing in a row. You change the way you trade the IB during strong daily trend days. If there's a draw to the upside, I'll change it a little bit. So for yesterday's case, and this is what I wanted to see, obviously it didn't happen. Yesterday we had a strong trend pre-market. We had a bullish IB low form first high. And then we also had that draw to previous day's high, 603.60. That was 603.75. No, 603.60, never mind. And then we happened to break that previous day's high by 20 cents and then came right back down. So yesterday was a pretty nasty manipulation day, and not really much we can do about that. For our IB today, we have about 140 point range. And hopefully these contracts are a lot more accurate as well. I traded the IB on Monday. We lost yesterday. The fibs I have in my chart, those are just the 50% retracements. That's it. There's an NVDA event today. What time do you know, Sam? Hopefully it's at like 1 o'clock in the afternoon. It's not right now. Also, just so everyone knows, I do have a giveaway active on my Twitter account right now. So if you're interested in entering that, that's for another 5 of the Lucid 25K Pros. If we can get a pullback here, I might take an early entry today. We'll see. Like 10-15. Mag 7 respecting the resistance. We have that data coming out here in a minute, 50 seconds. Tesla opening. Yeah, we could. Let's take a look at that Tesla opening. 5-minute opening inversion, 5-minute opened red. So you'd go long right off the rip. 394 all the way up to 398. That would have been a pretty good one today. It worked like a charm today. In 15 seconds, we should get probably a 0.2% move off this data. And we'll see. Pumped up just before that data came out. It's a pretty funny looking 1-minute candle. All right. Hopefully we'll get an entry here within the next 15 minutes. I'll take it a little early today. The first one is previous day and second one was overnight session. For what? We don't have any draws up today because we don't have previous day's high to go to. We opened within previous day's range. We opened at 603.15. We already took out previous day's high. So there's no reason for us to, there's no draws for us to continue. The fibs, pre-market session, London 50, and then previous day's 50 is what I draw out. We are very clearly over previous day's 50 and London 50. So we have a strong bias to the upside regarding that. We also have a 30-minute opening candle continuation to the upside. So we have 2 reasons to target more upside with the IB today. We just need to get an entry. What's going on, Steve? Your mic's on, just so you know. How do you feel about the edgeful IB algo? I wonder if it operates similar to how you trade. Oh, excuse me, I haven't used it yet. I haven't used the one for the IB. I know their orb algo does really well, though. How are you hanging? You can unmute for this, Steve. How are you hanging in there with the Apex situation? You're okay. Mm-hmm. Yeah, hopefully. It's been they're following the same pathway as wasn't FTMO, but what was the trade day one? Change all the rules, add the live in, and then start banning people left and right. Yeah, no kidding. Trader Pivot, I stream in the Discord on Mondays and Fridays. They're getting the pullback here. I might take an entry early. If we can get a 50% entry in the next 10 minutes, I might take that and target up to the IB high. It's another back-to-back really small range on it, though. We've been trading about 180 point midpoint, so like a 360 to 400 point range on the IB for the past 3 weeks, and past 2 days so far it's been about 70 points. This one today will be 80. Actually, barely 80. It's like 78. That's not barely 80. Board. Sounds like Top Step. Top Step, I don't think they won't ever go anywhere. They have a grip on the community with Project X, but Apex, they just added live traders. They're doing like a mass cleansing event with anyone that's ever said anything bad about Apex on social media. So their reputation is probably as bad as it gets right now. Sarif already asked. Yes, Apex denied my payouts, and I am banned from their platform. Their CEO actually went to Twitter and made a pretty nice sub-tweet thread about me. But if I try to go and log into Apex, this is the error message that I get. So we'll try to log in. Your account has not been approved. And then if I go over to Tradeovate, I have all of my accounts closed with them. So I don't have anything on here. Maybe they forgot one. Nope, they are all gone. Everything's gone. So they banned me for misrepresentation and violation of their user agreement for posting an honest review on social media. That's why they denied my payout. So they banned me. I had 30,100 or like 30,600 on the account. So whatever that would have equated to for a live transition, I don't know. Are they going after previous payouts? That's what they sent me in the last email. But I haven't seen a clawback attempt yet. I mean, I called my bank and made sure that they wouldn't allow anything like that to go through. They did. They paid me out 30,000 for the first payout, and then I qualified for the second one. I sent the request out for the second one. Me and Steve were in the same boat, actually. Sent the request out for the second payout. Took them 7 business days, mind you, so like 11 calendar days to even answer. And then they sent me an email that said, I unfortunately can't share it because then they will probably pursue legal action, but they sent me an email that said payout denied and accounts closed. And then they also said you need to remove these tweets. If you want to keep the accounts, you need to remove these tweets. If you don't remove these tweets, we're closing out the accounts. Your payouts are denied. And it was the tweet that I had that said, my social media presence was part of the reason that they reversed the decision on denying my payout, which it 100% was. But what did you say in the review? That right there, Alexander. I said that if you guys remember the whole process that I went through with them, I traded the accounts. I had no violations on them. Can't I sue them? I don't want to try and sue Apex. They have probably much more money than I do. I traded the accounts I started on like January 6th or January 7th. I traded them all the way to February. So a month. I had about 80,000 in equity on them. I think I had like 3,800. So like 75,000 ish. Requested the payout. They denied it. Didn't have any reasoning behind the denial. They just said minimum requirement for payout not met. I posted it online because I've been so transparent with it that they tried saying that I had an MAE violation, which they never sent me an email for, and then said because I had the MAE violation, I had to make another 1,500 from when the MAE violation hit, which was I had like 400 profit from when that violation hit. The MAE violation they got rid of, but it was a rule that just made it even more difficult for you to get a pullback or a payout. What am I saying? I read what you said, Tyree. Yeah, I'm looking for it on MNQ today. MNQ is the stronger asset right now, so I'm going to try to get that entry on MNQ. Another reason I want the entry on MNQ as opposed to MES, the range is only 10 points on MES right now. So we go over to the 15-minute here. We have our open right there. And then we have, this is our range. So it's too small, it's too tight of one to trade. Our midpoint entry would give us 12 points. Another reason that I want to take it on M&Q, if you remember what we did last Thursday actually, MES went and took a new IB low while we were in the longs on M&Q. So that should, with how small this range is, if we see MES go and take a new low, that will probably cut our stop loss in half on M&Q. So instead of risking $180 to $200 on this, we can probably get away with risking 80 to 100 maybe. So that's a little bit of protection. It's the stronger asset, so I want to play that. It's also a lot higher than MES. So if MES goes and takes a new low, that will protect us to some of our downside. How much did you risk per trade to get $3,000 days on Lucid accounts? It was about 160 per trade is what I was risking. I just went on a really nice streak with them. The IB and the Globex IB were really hot for the past 3 weeks. And then 3 weeks ago. The past 2 weeks have been really rough. Very rough. Do you see RTY long? Let's see. It is long bias, yes. RTOI is IWM, by the way. Same thing. We have 3 minutes. I'm not going to take the entry quite yet, but SPY is looking pretty weak compared to SPY. Compared to Q, so what am I saying? So we're going to make sure that we're patient here. In case SPY goes and takes a new IB low, we'll give it at least like another 4 minutes, and then we can probably look to take an entry there. I don't think it's going to pull back all the way down to 602. It is only $1.70 away, so it definitely could, but this would be the perfect 50% entry right now. And then it'd be about 75 points to the upside. It's not quite 80. No long. No, it's still a little bit early. We still have 18 minutes until the IB is closed. NVDA is dumping. Maybe I should start looking at NVIDIA. Tesla is the one I like looking at. I think that has more correlation on Qs recently. It's getting a little wick up, but SPY does look a little dangerous here. SPY is only 70 cents away from taking a new IB low, which would signal a no trade today, which would be 3 Tuesdays in a row. I hope that's not the case. If Qs ends up bouncing, we can go and take the trade on SPY. So we're in a pretty good situation regardless today. Even if SPY, and I know I just said that the range is too small to trade, even if SPY does wick back up above the 50, we can go in with like 4 MES and capitalize on 12 points. So it'd be a 48-point trade. I do really want to take a long on MES, M&Q, sorry, MES. That's still a little too early. This contract rollover has been really difficult. I requested the second payout on Apex Tyree on February 23rd. And they didn't tell me that it was denied. I actually have the email. So I'll tell you when they reach back out to me. This is how long I waited to hear back from them. SPY is actually catching up a little bit with Qs right now. I might take the entry on the close of this candle. We'll see. So let me go to okay, Apex. So February 23rd, all the way until March 4th is when they told me that my payout was denied. And then March 10th, they closed all my accounts. And the best part about all that is that I have probably one of the lowest spends on Apex for anyone in the FinTwit space. I would bet good money on you not being able to find anyone that has less money spent on Apex than I do with a 30K payout. All right, we got another 15 minutes for the IB. SPY definitely looks like it's about to go take a new low. So we can go ahead and get rid of that freaking arrow again. Not 3 Tuesdays in a row, man. Why? Too many people are talking about the IB. Hasn't been around since 1980. It's only been around since the past 3 months. You guys need to stop tweeting about the IB. It's all your fault. Yes, they did, Brandon. They closed everything. I mean, there's a chance. There's a chance. No 3 Tuesdays trade IP in New York. Tuesday has been, for the past 5 years, Tuesday is the best day to trade the IB by far. Thursday is the worst day to trade it. Friday is the second worst day to trade it. But these are the stats for 5 years worth of data on the IB. 81% over 5 years. So even though the stat for today is sitting at 80% over the past 6 months, this is still below what the average is for the past 5 years. So Tuesdays are by far the best day to trade the IB. I mean, if we can somehow, some way, not wick down another 10 cents, we'll be okay to take longs. They nerfed it. Well, that's why backtesting stuff for 5 years at a time doesn't work. We've been trading it for 3 months with almost no adaptation to the model. And it's done really, really well in those past 3 months with no adaptation. So all this means is it might be time for us to start adding another point of confluence into the IB trade. I think we're doing pretty well with SPY and Qs need to line up. If they don't line up, then we don't take the trade because that leads to a loss in most instances. The Globex ID was a great ad. Other than that, there's not really much going on for market dynamics. You have the VIX trading still over 20. Iran, Israel, US, now China, European Union's kind of getting hit. Also, new IB low just made. No. I can't believe you've done this. Man. It's three Tuesdays in a row. I don't think we're going to get a new high on SPY, and I don't think we're going to get a new low on Qs. Thank you, Lucas. I know I've been saying this quite a bit, but just so everyone is well aware, I am 110% joking when I say that too many people have been posting about the IB. The IB has been a working concept since 1986. That's when it was first invented by Peter Steinelbeck. Might have butchered his name again. I really got to get better at saying it. Peter Steinelbeck, I think, is how you say it. He made it in 1986. Steinbach, however you say that, created the initial balance breakout in 1986. Steinelbeck. We're going to call him Peter. Hang on a minute, Qs. SPY might go into... This is another reason I don't really like taking Steinelbeck. Yeah, there you go. I can't pronounce that name. This is part of the reason I don't like trading small ranges. Last night was a little too small of a range for the IB, the Globex IB. If you go back to last night, wherever that is, 10 a.m. Where's our 6 p.m. IB? There we go. So last night was a little too tight of a range for me. I shouldn't have traded it in hindsight. It would have avoided a significant loss, but ended up losing 400 on that last night because I sized up a little too much. This is too tight of a range for me to trade. It's way too tight of a range to trade. So this was only 20 points was the reward. 23 points. These IBs are more susceptible to having fake outs as well. Come on. If SPY hadn't gone and taken a new low, I definitely would have taken longs right there. I know it. Bastard. These IBs, still a 130-point range, a little too tight for the IB. Especially during New York, you can definitely make those moves up and down within 5-10 minutes. SPY, we may be able to disregard that one today, maybe because of how small the range is, but even with that wick down, this range is 20 points in total. So that means you're 30 points in total. Sorry. That means that at most you're going to be making $150 on 2 MES, about $75 on 1 MES. It's not really that worth it. I might still try. I don't really want to break a rule today, but I might still try. I know that should lead directly to not taking a trade. MNQ looks a lot better. SPY does not look good. MNQ looks a lot better. But we'll probably just end up not taking anything today. During the time this guy invented the IB, the average New York opening range was 1.5 to 3.5 points. It's scaled up, and it still works really well. I mean, you guys have seen how many payouts I've been able to take. I guess it's not just off the IB, but with the IB lined up with inside bars and previous days high and previous days low, and lined up with directional bias, gap fill. The IB itself, I mentioned this Sunday night. If we go over to Sunday's IB, this gave us our direction for the entire trading day yesterday. And because of how large the range was, it was a lot more valid than if it was, say, a 50 to 100 point range. This was almost a 250 point range for the IB to open on Sunday night. That gives you a bullish bias for the entire trading session, going into overnight, going into obviously the one for last night into today didn't really work. It worked until midnight or 2 a.m. and then it kind of pittered out. But this gives you your direction for the rest of the day, because you only have an 18% chance of having a double break, which, funny enough, we did have yesterday. I remember when 5 to 10 points in ES was a big range 2 years ago. Yeah. April lows of last year, even when Qs was trading at 400, but it was still making like 400 point ranges because Trump was always talking. Odds for SPY today on the IB by rejection. High form first, expected 78.5% that the low breaks first. If the low had formed first and the first break had been a high, this was kind of overdue a loss for SPY. But you can also see on this is 2 weeks in a row that's lost on the high forming first, which is right here. No, right here, sorry. Qs is quite diverged with SPY right now. Definitely would have taken a long on that. A little disappointing. Do you enter on 50% retracements? Yes, on the 15-minute, I enter on the 50% retracements. You should do an algo stream with Andre for the premium group. I'm very interested to see how the orb and IB algos work and what the value proposition is for 300 a month. He has, let's see if I can, Trader Theory, I think is who it is. I'll pull him up here. Trader Theory here. So he usually posts a recap of what, I know he posts a lot of memes, but he usually posts a recap of what the edgeful algo does. If I can go and find it here. Scroll down a little bit more. He did the gold one for the past year, and it did, hold on, I'm finding it. It's coming up. There you go. So the GC IB algo, 10,000 to 108,000 in a year. You can see the whole chart for it right here. This is the algo on strategy tester with everything, every parameter that the algo has. 66% win rate, max drawdown 7,560. And it does all this stuff automatically. But that's something that you could look into and then never have to trade again. I'm in Qs. I had a limit order placed. I do want to take it. I think Qs is going to go and have a nice break to the high. But on the same note, SPY is, it could be something that we interact with based on the size of the range. Because SPY's, if it does go and take the low, it has a lot higher of a chance of going and also taking the high, having a double break today because the range is so small. But with them not lining up, it's probably not something we should take today. I'll DM Andre today or tomorrow about that, about your proposition. See if you can get in here for a stream. He is a busy man. If not, we can talk with him on stream tomorrow, Tyree, about it. He loves talking about the IB algo. Gosh, I'm up in the air right now. I want to take it. NVIDIA has a bearish IB as well, so this one should go and take the IB low. It's actually getting a perfect retest at 50% right now. So this should go and target the low. I do like the bounce off London high and previous day's high for Qs. I just don't like this on SPY. SPY is destined to go and take the low. And if it does take the low, I don't want it to drag Qs all the way down to the low as well. Tuesdays, man, they used to be so good. Bookmap looks ugly. Part of the reason on that, Mike, Bookmap is counting half the volume. I was told that last night because Rips uses it. I didn't hear it from Rips, but I looked into it. Rips and some other guy that trades gold overnight, they're counting half the volume on the book map because the contracts are still split right now. You still have people that are trading this contract on MNQ, MNQ H6. There's still enough volume on it that you can get away with trading it. It's just moving a lot slower. So if I were to take an entry on this, you would see the P&L down here in the bottom left. It would be popping up 50 points, 20 points, 30 points. IB sucks recently. It hasn't been doing that bad. It just hasn't had very many entries. It's still been working. Sunday night worked really well. It just didn't give us an entry. I really want to go long. It just frustrates me. One of these is going to win. The other one's going to lose. I know this. I'm saying this in hindsight, knowing that's pushing up now. I would, if SPY had not gone and taken a low right there, I would have definitely taken a long on Qs right at that 50, at 10.15. Like I said, I was going to. Half the volume. Yes, Mike. The volume is currently split between. It might not be half. It might. Last night it was half. It was 50-50, right down the middle. For today, it's probably like 75-25 or 70-20. But it's because the book map is counting the volume from MNQ M6 and not MNQ H6 or vice versa. It can't count the volume for both. NQ is going to win. You have rules written out for anyone for your entry criteria on the IB. Just found the stream. I don't have them written out yet. No, I will have all of them in the course though. I'm working on videos for the course. I had slides for them and I was going to just publish those, but I figured you get more from PDFs combined with actual education. First hour New York Open, SPY and QQQ must be aligned. If the lows form first, we use a gone box to long from 50%. If the high is set first, short from 50, risk no more than 10% total drawdown. Stop loss must be set before entering. Execute on the MQ or MES depending on which one is closer to 50%. Cancel the limit order if the high or low of the range is tapped before the entry occurs. These are my rules. I like those. Very nice, Tyree. Target for price right now is up to 25,114 or down to 24,964. If I'm not mistaken, Mike, the book map is on. Is it on TD? I don't remember where you get the book map from. I really want to try long, but I know it's probably not the smart thing to do. SPY is targeting the IB low. Qs is targeting the IB high. I'm not going to take a long because they're not lined up. And as hard as it is to do, I cannot break that rule, even if it's an eval. That is the long that I want to play out. I'm not in this, though. I'm not going to take it. Because on the same note, this is the position on SPY. And as you guys can see, slight issue here, right? One of them's pointing up, the other one's pointing down. So difficult not to take it. If this ends up winning, I will be very annoyed with SPY. Very annoyed with it. Bookmap is just on its own platform. What did it used to be on, though? Trademark, that's it. Was it Trademark? Bookmap used to be, before it got super big, it used to be on a trading platform. But anyway, that trading platform doesn't use universal contracts. They use the month-to-month contracts. So depending on which one you're updated to on that contract, it's either trading the M6 volume or it's trading the H6 volume. Think or swim. There we go. Thank you, Julian. That's it. Perfect 50% entry. And that would be like 20 points now. Damn you. If this one ends up going and getting full TP, this would have been a $280 day. But we don't have these two lining up. What I have seen several times now is Qs will go take the high, 605.90, or SPY will go take the low, and then the other asset will go and take the respective level that it's looking for. So in this case, if Qs goes and runs up to that IB high, and SPY is hovering at like 673.73, then Qs would come back down once it breaks the IB. This is so disappointing, man. That hit the 50% to the literal tick. Could not have been any better than that. I don't know what trade Frenchie was getting in there. I don't know if he was in longs or shorts. Trust the data. ES will go up to max 75% of the IB. QQQ will break the I in reverse. That's what I'm anticipating, but I can't take them when they're inverse like this. That's what I think is going to happen on SPY. I think it's going to get up to probably those equal highs that it made with the body and then come back down. It would be wild if we stayed within this range all day. That would be crazy. This has happened before. We've had a 20-point range that price hasn't broken. Let's see if we can actually go and find it. I remember it clear as day because that was the Tuesday that we got wicked out by a slippage wick that didn't even happen. Right here. So this one took all the way until 11:45 to break, and this was only a 22-point range, just over $2. And this was the one that stopped us out with a wick that didn't happen. ES stayed in, MES was the one that slipped. What does the stat say for each individual ticker? That's the other difficult part right now. Just keep logging me out. That's the other issue we have is that SPY with the high forming first. Zoom in here. With the high forming first on SPY, it has a 78% chance that the low goes and breaks, which isn't over the average. This is actually under what the average is for 5 years. And then QQQ has an 80% chance that it goes and breaks the high since the low was formed first. So these are perfectly hedged against each other. One of them has 80% to the upside. The other one has 78.5% to the downside. But as hard as it is, if I start off a trade, I hope you guys recognize this too. It's very difficult for me to do even now. But if I started off the mindset to that trade as I don't want to break a rule, but if I'm going to take this trade, it's going to be here. That should be a clear signal to myself anyway, to not take the trade. Because that turns it more into, I know that I'm breaking a rule. I'm still going to take the trade anyway. It is hedging, Sean. You cannot go long and short on like assets. It's counted as hedging for Lucid, Tradeify, and My Funded Futures. Top Step, I'm not sure if it will be hedging, but Apex, it was hedging. Lucid's hedging. You cannot go long and short on like assets. That's like going long on silver and short on gold. You can put on a spread. I'll tell you what, if SPY goes and takes the low, I will try a long because that should bring Qs back down to 50%. If SPY goes and takes the low, I'll try a long. And that should eliminate the draw to the downside on SPY. Both SPY and ES are reacting off session VWAPs. If NQ is going to take the high, then SPY has to break above the session VWAP. NQ is already over it. FOMC week to boot. These are about as mismatch as they get. They're about as diverged as they can get. SPY also opened below the midpoint. QQQ opened above the midpoint. SPY obviously targeting the low, Q is targeting the high. SPY doesn't have any draw to the upside, neither does Q. So if anything, it's kind of leaning towards a downside bias for both of them. This feels like yesterday, decent move up at open and retrace. Or better yet, how about this? Yesterday, we moved up pre-market and then did absolutely nothing for all of New York session. How about that one, Swishy? Same exact thing today. We had a crazy move up pre-market. So far, no movement whatsoever for open. Oh, so it is. Sorry about that, Sean. Never mind then. I still don't want to risk it though. Long on MES, short on M and Q equals allowed. Both micro different directions is fine for different instruments. I'm still not doing it. And I do know for a fact that Apex, that would be a rule breach, and Lucid as well. And Lucid actually just announced that they're not just, but a couple weeks ago announced that they're cracking down a lot more on the rules with hedging. So hedging rule. Hedging between different firms. You cannot go long/short the same contract, but one is minis or micros in separate accounts. This is strictly prohibited. You cannot go long ES in one account and short NQ in another account. You cannot go long ES and short NQ in the same account. Correlated assets go for grouping in equities, metals, energies. So the same is said for GC and silver. Crude oil and gold as well. Lucid Trading has automated risk systems in place to detect hedging behavior. If your account is flagged, you'll receive a written warning, and all profits generated from hedging will be removed. I'll show you it right here. If you go to their Discord and look at the rules, I'm looking at it right now. This is less than 30 days ago. This was posted, over 30 days ago, February 8th, 2026. And they have this for an example. What happens if I hedge? Under examples, you cannot go long ES and short NQ. Correlated assets for groupings in equities, metals, energies will count as hedging. So you cannot go long on NQ and short on ES right now. I wish I could take a screenshot of this. My screenshots don't work. Let me screenshot it. I'll just copy and paste it. Should be able to type it into the. They're fighting against each other right now. One of them wants to go. There you go. So this is exactly what it says on their Discord hedging policy, which should be the same rules. Come on. I gotta be so big. I should be able to read. Can go long, short different contracts in the same account. You cannot go long, short different contracts in separate accounts. You cannot go long ES and short NQ in separate accounts, which would be the same thing as going long and short in the same account. Either way, it's one of these is going to lose, one of them is going to win. I don't think Q's is going to go and break the IB high, and then SPY is not going to creep all the way up towards the IB high. I can't imagine you'd be able to do it in the same account. I just asked. Okay, never mind then. I think gold is correlated with GC. These are commodities that are correlated. Yeah, Davey, correct. Could have just gotten a second entry there too. This really pisses me off because this is such a good setup on Q's. And SPY's range was just too small for us to take it. But Q's just double. We would have had 3 entries at 50%. This is a 70-point move to the upside. And it's probably going to hit. And then SPY is probably going to go and take the low. Did I place a trade? No, I have the thought process for the trade on the screen, but I am not in anything. As you can see in the bottom left, I do not have any trades open. This guy thinks too much. No. Or just have a rule in place. This is all coming from hindsight. Obviously, we know that this is probably going to go and take the high now on Q's. It did look good or better on Q's. But this could have easily just as same thing that did yesterday. This could have dragged SPY all the way down to 670, and then Q's goes and breaks the IB low, or vice versa. This could have dragged SPY up to the highs. Q's could have stayed down here and then gone. This is all coming from hindsight. This isn't thinking too much. These are rules that I've had in place for the trades. If they don't line up, then we don't take it. Previous day's high acting as support. On that same note, it would have been acting as resistance on SPY. Or London high anyway. IB is about to remain goated, but SPY had to screw it up today. Let me try it right now. Oh, sweet it is. Nice. This is the slowest moving IB I've seen in a very long time. It looks pretty low energy. I think our culprit for this is the contract rollover. I think that's the issue that we're having in terms of why price is moving as slow as it is. It could also be because of FOMC. I think it's because of the contract rollover. Last night especially, and I got stuck in this. Last night I was monitoring between M6 and H6. Someone actually posted a screenshot of it in free chat for Discord. If I can go and scroll up here. Just a minute. There we go. So last night, H6 had, and this was at 7 o'clock, H6 had 1,800 volume, and M6, which is the new one, had 3,100. So it was about 2 to 3 for the ratio. But that's still, if the volume is usually 5,000 at that point, and you have 2/3 of the volume on one asset and 1/3 on the other, either way, it's going to be moving extremely slow. And big money is not going to be looking to get into those positions with that type of low volume, which is part of the reason that we're probably moving as slow as we are as well. There we go. Found the screenshot. So NQH6, this was at 642 last night, 1,595 versus the M6 had 3,379. So 2/3, almost on the dot, 2/3 ratio for volume. One of those assets was down 40 points. The other one was down 37. So I bet we could probably look into that for slippage as well. But come after tomorrow, when everyone has to be rolled over to the new contracts, we should be fine. Should be more than fine. Contract rollover weeks are always ass. Yeah, they're not very nice. It's on. You can go into the AI. Again, I'm really bad at prompting it. For what's in play, when ES and NQ are lined up, he did this a couple weeks ago. I'm going to try to replicate it. Indicating a break of. Hold on. Analyze reports. Okay, that's what I got to remember. And we want the initial balance for. Oh, it doesn't have the buy rejection on here. Okay. I'll do it on NQ as well. I'm so bad with customize. That should be good enough. If you don't see a sub report, these columns are already included in the standard report. Okay, good. Analyze. Click that. Analyzing. For the initial bounce on NQ and ES, when NQ is indicating, really, you guys might have to help me with this. This is the worst feature I have for trading, is trying to mess with AI. Kidding. Break. Because life should occur. So where are the odds are these stats for the IB bounce playing out correctly? Let's see if that works. It should give us some numbers at least. Or as a result of the IB break for ES and NQ, when ES makes the high first and NQ makes the low first. That probably would have been better. So while that loads, we can go back over and look at this choppy chart. SPY is getting a little bit stronger. Qs is actually getting a little bit weaker. Last night, it was very apparent with the contract rollover. Trying to trade Globex IB, and the contracts just were not moving whatsoever. It's coming back down. Again, if SPY can go and take that low, I'll try a long on Qs where it is. Still thinking. Initial balance, breakout standard ES, initial balance, breakout standard NQ. There we go. So 0 out of 7 over the past 7 times they've been diverged. And the breakout is the upside, breakdown is to the downside. So there's a 0% chance that both of these will, over the past 7 outcomes anyway, there's a 0% chance that both of these will break in the same direction. Or sorry, not break in the same direction, but play out as their IB indicates. What that tells us, and for the person that said I was overthinking, what that tells us is that one of these assets, whether it's ES or NQ, one of these is going to break the wrong direction of the IB, which it's looking more like ES is going to hit the IB low or IB high, sorry, even though it's targeting the IB low. But that is, so the divergent scenario is rare, only 7 occurrences in the past 6 months of data. When NQ and ES are pointing in opposite direction, neither tends to follow through cleanly. There you go. The conflict between the two instruments appears to create noise rather than clean trends. The most common outcome was a double break on one or both instruments, meaning price broke one side, then reversed and broke the other. Not once did both assets simultaneously deliver a clean single direction breakdown on the same day. That should answer what you were looking for, Sean. All the reports that you guys could have or questions that you could have for the IB or the breakout or whatever it might be, you can go and ask the AI and it will cover all the stuff for you. Do you have any rules on what kind of price action is better? Like, would you take a trade when it's choppy? Like today, no. I try avoiding choppy days at all costs. Yesterday, I got sucked into it in the afternoon after the IB broke, and I ended up churning some accounts through it, which I'm not too happy about. But better me saying that than trying to lie to myself and acting like it's all okay. Days like this, last night even, it will cause you to churn several accounts, because what happens, and this is across the board, not Apex, Lucid just posted the statistic last night. So I have this fresh knowledge from Lucid. 95% of the traders that go through Lucid fail. 90% of traders that buy an account with Lucid do not get a payout. 95% of traders that buy an account and get to a funded phase or even a live phase blow the account. That's the direct data that AJ posted on Twitter last night. What happens for every single trader for days like this is that you go into a trade. So for instance, if I was long right now in NQ, or for this example, let's say I was short on ES because I'm targeting a downside move to the IB low on ES. Let's say I lose 200 on the trade. So I'm down 200. I'm looking at a nice red number down the bottom left. I try recovering that 200, or better yet, I go in with a larger position and try to not only recover that 200, but try to make it to the max profit for the day. Price continues to chop like it did yesterday. So with that 200, I'm obviously not going to try and catch every single move if I'm tilting like that. The same thing for every trader. Everyone, according to those statistics, 90% of people or 95% of people go through the same exact process. You get a chop day like this. Okay, I'm down 400. I'm going to go short, and I'm going to try to make that 400 back, or I'm going to go heavier in that short, and I'm going to try to make 800. So I'm green 400. Price pushes up. I get stopped at it again. Now I'm down 800. So I'm going to go long because, look, price is going up. It looks like it's going to reverse and go and take out that IB high. I'm going to go long. Chops right back down. Now I'm down 1,200. That third or fourth trade, so maybe I go short here again at 12.15. That third or fourth trade, you no longer have a stop loss on because you're like, screw it. I have no drawdown left on the account. I'm just going to try and make what I can. If I blow the accounts, I'll just go and buy new ones and have a fresh restart. Now it chops all the way back up, or you even catch this manipulated candle up at 3 o'clock. This is the worst day that you can try to make that money back. Same exact thing for today. You're ideally looking for like 20 to 30 points in directional movement, especially if you're going really heavy in positions. That movement's not going to happen on a day like this. It's not going to happen on a day like yesterday either. You'll get 20 points to the upside, or let's say you're looking for 40 points in continued movement. You're looking for 40 points, you get 35 points to the upside, and then it reverses down 60 points. Now your stop loss hits. So you reverse your position, you go short, you're looking for 30 points to the downside. Now it goes up 30 points and you get stopped out again. That's why I avoid trading on chop days like this, which we can very clearly see that this is going to be another replication of what yesterday was. The stats on Top Step were 97% of traders that buy an account with them do not ever take a payout. So Lucid's actually should prove my point why Lucid's better, even though it's just marginal. Lucid is technically better by 7%, or sorry, 2%, not 7%. And then on the stat for even getting a payout, Top Step's 93% of traders that go and buy an account with them never get a payout. Lucid was 90%. In the last week, I've traded IB in New York session. It's been cheeks. Yeah, it hasn't been too good. It had 2 losses last week. Monday and Tuesday last week it lost. Wednesday had a perfect entry. Thursday had a perfect entry. And Friday had an entry that I just missed, which was my own fault. It lost on Tuesday last week. It lost on Monday. I took 1 loss on it last week. And then the Globex IB went 4 for 4 again. I avoided the loss on Tuesday because of the draw to the upside. I should have avoided the loss on Monday as well. This is some nasty chop that we're looking at. Definitely not going to be any trades today, unfortunately. Chop days are typically before FOMC. I schedule doctor and dentist appointments these days. That's what I should do, right at 2 o'clock. All right, guys, that will wrap it up for the stream today. We're not going to be taking a trade on this IB, so go ahead and close out. It's about a 30-point move to the upside. Not really worth it, honestly. 70-point range SPY, again, destined to go and take the IB low. As we just looked at these stats, though, edgeful AI, this is telling us that there is a 0% chance. There has been no instances where both have broken the simultaneous, or both have simultaneously broken the correct IB. Yeah, same logic to the Globex IB. I do, Jake, yes, but today would not be a day that I take trades outside the IB. So no trades today. Would you look at pre-market move tomorrow before New York opened to trade? This is a pretty uncharacteristic move up. Obviously, you'd have to be long to catch this, but I don't look at pre-market moves now. I wake up at about 7:30, sometimes 6:30 if my dog wakes me up early, but your brain takes 110 minutes to wake up, so I don't look at any trades or try to trade before I'm completely woken up. All right, guys, that will do it for today. Have a great rest of your day. Don't do anything silly. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Peace out. Thank you for tuning into the stream. See you later.